Hey everyone, this is TechCrunch Live, where we help founders build better venture-backed businesses. I'm Matt Burns, and today on TechCrunch Live, we have Cube, which is a financial planning and analysis company that's trying to help businesses bridge that gap between custom spreadsheets and modern planning tools. And you know how it is. You build a beautiful spreadsheet that holds all sorts of data, and you know there are deep insights in there, but your pivot skills only go so far. And as the story goes, Christina Ross, who is the CEO and co-founder of Cube, held multiple CFO roles and saw this opportunity. In fact, she started selling this hybrid product even before Cube had a product. And we're going to talk about that today too. Joining Christina is Rajeev Butra, a longtime investor at Mayfield. He's on Cube's board and knows about just about everything about building and managing startups. It's going to be a great conversation. I have a series of questions to ask them, and then I'll turn it over to you all. And if you're in Hopin, I'll ask a couple questions from there too. There should be a link in YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter Spaces directing you to Hopin, and it's also on the front of TechCrunch.com right now. And if you're watching this after the live broadcast, great. Thank you so much. But maybe consider joining us next week live. We record every Wednesday, noon Pacific. So just go to TechCrunch.com during that time, and there should be a link and a video right there. There's a hop-in link right underneath the video. So with that, let's talk about Cube and Mayfield. Christina, Rajeev, how are you? Good to have both of you here.
Thanks for having us.
Doing great. Having us, Matt.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. Now, Christina, I would like to start with you. Could you tell us where Cube came from and where it is today?
So I'll start with a little bit of my founding journey. So as you mentioned before, I'm a former CFO. I call myself a serial CFO. I've worked at startups all the way from Rent the Runway when they were about 30 people, pre-IPO, public companies. I was even an implementation consultant once doing FP&A software implementations. And in my last CFO role, I thought, how hard could this be? I've done this before. I've been in this role many, many times. It's time to upgrade from just spreadsheets. And so I began an implementation of a leading solution in the market, one where it's currently a competitor of ours today. And it couldn't have gone worse. It was 6 months to launch, thought it was going to take a few weeks at most. Someone on the team left, we couldn't get our numbers out, and net, we ended up going back to spreadsheets. And it started the question in my mind of, are spreadsheets really the problem, or is the problem the lack of good FP&A software? And I started on my journey at that point of talking to other CFOs, other people in the space, of why exactly is it that we haven't moved on from spreadsheets? Is it the software out there isn't good enough, or that we're waiting for something better? And ultimately, our solution and what we do is called Spreadsheet Native FP&A. And we bridge the gap between, as you mentioned before, spreadsheets, which are great tools. They're the lingua franca of finance. Everyone speaks Excel. Everyone speaks Google Sheets if you are into that. But we need something more. And so we combine purpose-built FP&A with our data engine with the ease of use of your spreadsheets that you use every single day. So we meet users where they are versus bringing them to a new proprietary type platform.
That's great. And how much money have you guys raised so far?
We've raised $45 million in total, most recently a $30 million Series B that we closed in April of last year.
Yeah, and where do you see you guys in the marketplace, like your market share and top competitors?
So our top competitors are the big FP&A players. You've probably heard of tools like the second generation tools, we call them. So that's like Anaplan, Adaptive Insights, which is part of Workday, Planful. Those are the second gen tools we tend to see most in market. First gen tools being Hyperion, more on-premise type solutions. In terms of market share, we're going after the market share that no one else is tackling. And we call that the other 90%. And so if the entire FP&A market is only capturing 10 to 20% of companies today, there's a reason the other 80 to 90% aren't using them. And we believe, in our thesis, is companies are not ready to give up their spreadsheets. So we're giving them something better, and we're allowing them to keep what they like.
Yeah, why do you think people like spreadsheets so much? I love them.
We always say they're the lingua franca of finance. So it is the language that everyone speaks. It is as simple as something that you can build a shopping list in, and you can also build a $1 trillion financial model. It is the beginning of no-code software. Anyone can use it, and anyone can code and build incredibly complex solutions. And it's been refined over decades and decades. So for us to think we're going to build a better financial solution than Excel is sort of ridiculous. We would have to essentially recreate Excel to do that. So we let users keep the UI that they love, and we built all the other things around it, all the mechanics around sharing, data consolidation, data transformation, all done on the back end to allow you to continue to use what you love.
Yeah, that's great. Now, Rajiv, I got to ask you, when did Mayfield invest, and what was your first meeting like?
So Mayfield invested in Christina and Cube in October of 2020. So right when, I guess in the early middle phases of the pandemic,
Mhm.
we're all trying to figure out how early stage investing should happen when we had suddenly, been holed up in our homes and behind Zoom and not being able to meet entrepreneurs, in person. And Mayfield is an early stage venture capital firm. We have been around since 1969, and we focus very much on working with the entrepreneurs and at the earliest stages of company formation. So often that's while they're still building a product, or when they're early in market, or sometimes just have an idea. So as a people first firm, we're very focused on sort of meeting the entrepreneur where they are, which is, it's just them, maybe an idea, maybe a couple people at most. So we invested in the company in October 2020, and that was on the back of spending several months getting to know Christina first over Zoom, starting in May, June of 2020, and then actually making the bold move at the time of going from the Bay Area to meet her in Boston, meet her and her co-founder Josh in Boston, and she was in New York. So she drove up to Boston. There were all these quarantine rules where if you flew, you couldn't travel again, and it was did all this research. Both of us did on how that would work, and so we met in Boston and spent a good day and a half together on the back of us spending a ton of time on Zoom and getting really aligned on her vision, mission, purpose, and how we could be great partners for her in helping build Cube into a great company. So that's kind of how it all came together.
Yeah, and you guys invested in Cube again, right? So you were in their seed round and then their Series A and B.
So we were in their Series A round. So we led the Series A in October 2020 on the back of a seed round that Christina had done. And then, of course, we followed up in the Series B as well. Yeah.
What exactly about Cube made you go back for more?
Well, I'd say our model tends to be we tend to support companies from start to finish, if you will, if there is such a thing as a finish, right? And our hope is that these companies are built to last and enduring, but we tend to support the companies throughout their life cycle. Obviously, a majority of our investment tends to go in the earliest rounds because we're early stage investors, but we tend to continue supporting the companies. Very specifically, I think Christina basically and the team delivered more than what they set out to do. Yeah, right. And so, translating her non-obvious insight, which is what I call, her insight into, hey, spreadsheets, billion people use them, lingua franca. And it's a space we were quite familiar with. Mayfield was an investor in Hyperion in the prior generations. And we understood the space well, but we had never seen this type of non-obvious insight into really making this market explode. And so she followed through on that vision, not just in delivering the product and the customers and revenue and ahead of every target, which, by the way, a planning company should do. If you're a planning software company, it's nice that they actually deliver to or ahead of plan. Right. And they were aggressive targets. She also focused a lot on building the company. So we always say, right, like companies, entrepreneurs have to build two products to build some great business. One is the product, the other is the company. And so she has done a tremendous job of doing that as well, and building out her team and really investing in herself as a CEO as well. And so it's been a great collaboration. And I think I'd say those are the two things, and that's precipitating into Cube becoming one of the leading companies in this next generation of FP&A software. And so that's kind of continue to convince us that we want to keep supporting the company.
Yeah. Well, Christina brought along 3 slides from her Series B pitch deck, and so we're gonna display those now. And this will allow Christina to pitch the product, and I want to hear how you position this product in the marketplace, and then what you told investors as well. So why don't you take it away from here?
Well, this is a different slide, but I'll just give a quick background on our Series B deck is actually the same as our Series A deck, the beginning of the slide. And if you look at our seed deck, the first few slides are the exact same.
Okay, let's see if we can get that right slide up there. So that'll be the third one that was provided. Is that right?
It will be the Office of the CFO slide.
One more back. This is always fun to do live, right?
This happens in real life. This is the best part.
There you are. Okay, great.
So the story here is we started out with why Cube, why now? What's happening in the greater market? Why is now the time for FP&A software, whereas maybe it wouldn't have been as big of a market before? And there's three fundamental changes happening today and a year ago and the year before that. And the first is the shifting role of the CFO. So if you think of CFOs from decades past, you might be thinking of a CPA, a chief accounting officer, someone who's really good at keeping the books. And I always use the image of, if you know the movie Office Space, Milton with the red stapler in the basement. That's how, as a finance person, we used to be considered sort of a back office function. Of course, the world has changed dramatically in the last several years, and even more so in the last decade, as automation has made its way into the office of the CFO. So that means now that we've automated a lot of these accounting tasks, the CFO's role has become more strategic. So you are the one responsible for setting, hitting, keeping, reporting the numbers. It's an incredibly important strategic role. So that's number one. Number two, the role of the CFO and the office of the CFO is increasingly complex. So with every single team in your company has a SaaS tool for that, there's data coming from more and more sources. And finance is the most downstream function in an organization, meaning it's the last function to touch a piece of data or any data before it goes out to Wall Street or to your investors. And so garbage in, garbage out, there's a lot of data complexity and transformation that has to happen within the office of the CFO. And finally, despite the fact that this role is becoming more important than ever, it's harder to manage than ever, there have been very little or minimal tech changes around the office, around FP&A as a function in the last 20, 30 years. If you talk to most companies, they're still using Excel. Even if they have some big fancy platform in-house, a lot of what people tell me is we're still actually doing everything in spreadsheets.
Yeah, absolutely. So are we still at TechCrunch? Let's go to the next slide here.
And so the second part here is, and this happened in my research and talking to users in my own story, it turns out that finance teams really only have two options, and they're both terrible. One is to continue to use Excel, which works very well, but stop scaling at some point. So in an ever more, in a world with increasing complexity that's more important than ever, you have to make do with what you've already had, or you can completely rip and replace, which creates its own set of challenges and can be more difficult. And I can't tell you the number of stories we heard about failed implementations of these big platforms, or they end up going back to spreadsheets anyway. And what's incredibly interesting, and one of the reasons why Battery did our Series B, they did their own research, found the exact same result. Over 80% of companies that replace spreadsheets end up going back to them. So the data is telling us something over and over again. We only have two bad options. And so that cues us to the next slide, which is, of course, a new, better approach. And that is spreadsheet native FP&A, which is a new category and a term that we've coined, which is really the idea that you can have the best of both worlds. So we've taken everything that doesn't work well about spreadsheets. Spreadsheets are not databases. You can't really collaborate very well. There's no version control or audit trail. It doesn't take your data from the source and consolidate it. You can't map data very well through these things. So we do all of that through Cube and through the back end of Cube. And we serve it up to the users in the way that is most convenient for them in their tool of choice. So we have a web app. You can view Cube in our dashboards and in our web app. You can view your data through Excel. You can view it through Google Sheets. So it's almost like your own modern ChatGPT, except we already did it in Cube, where you could type in rows and columns of data and they magically populate with exactly what you need. That's the magic behind Cube, is what's happening behind the scenes so that your spreadsheets work better than ever and that you can get the data as soon as you need it so you can focus on the strategic tasks that matter.
Yeah. Now, what did Mayfield find most intriguing about this product?
So I would go back to, again, right? Like for us, the product is the entrepreneur, the market opportunity, and the non-obvious insight connecting the two, suggesting a large untapped market that is, really in need. The problem space is a real painkiller. right? So it's all of those things kind of coming together, and Mayfield being the right partner, if you will, for the entrepreneur. So it's kind of a multi-part thing. I think Christina's articulated it pretty clearly, right? It's like her own experience, her own pain point, her own sort of. She was in a way, I'd say it right. She was meant to do this, right? This was her calling. It started a long time ago.
She's trying not to smile right now, but she's trying not to smile. There it is.
And so, there's a whole story about her favorite toy being a cash register when she was growing up. But
wait a second. So, Christina, your favorite toy was a cash register? Mine was a rocket.
It wasn't just a cash register. Yeah, I saved my allowance from chores and went to Costco or BJ's Wholesale or whatever was around at the time and paid for a real live cash register that I could play with and practice counting my money.
Yeah. Did you do Excel spreadsheets instead of Mavis Beacon? Was there a thing like that?
Spreadsheets came later, but short stories, I'm not allowed to play Clue anymore with the family because I started pulling out the spreadsheets.
That's great. Yeah.
So she, and you've heard from her, her sort of journey and sort of she lived the pain. She'd been obsessing over it. She thought about, maybe I can continue to become a better CFO by being an innovative CFO in the companies I work in and promote the use of technology and this, that, and the other. And then finally said, no, you know what? I'm going to go solve this problem. I'm going to become an entrepreneur. I'm going to go code and, learn, how to, use Envision and prototype a product, show it to people, even got them to commit to paying for it if she built it. So, a good old fashioned, sort of way to build a company, right? It start by asking people, would you pay for this? Is your pain big enough? Right. And being, the proverbial first salesperson for a company, for a product like this. And, it's not like CFOs are easy to sell to, right? Finance people are not necessarily easy to sell to. And so knowing your audience, knowing the pain points so viscerally for years and decades, and then translating that into building a company, and then taking a rather unconventional approach, which, kind of staring you in the face, it's sort of like, non-obvious insights are obvious in hindsight. And so we were really intrigued by that. And then her sort of values and founding principles and how she got and found her co-founder, Josh, to validate, can I build this? And is this actually possible? So we just, were really, really intrigued and loved that and spending time with her. And of course, the market is immense if you can pull this off, right? The 10% of the market that's served today has produced many multi-billion-dollar companies. It's a super important function. And we believe this is where the market is going. And we felt we could partner with her, and we had alignment in terms of what she needed in investors in helping her think through building a company over time. And we felt we could offer that, and she felt the same way, I believe. So.
Yeah, Christina, what was the hardest part transitioning from a CFO to a CEO?
What's interesting is it was a lot easier of a transition than I would have thought. I'll mention that. And then the hard part. Number one, CFOs make unpopular decisions all the time. And as a CEO, everyone says that's the hardest part is suddenly you have to be the bad guy or gal. And as a CFO, this was second nature. Number two, you're always quantitative. So that's a big part of the business. Being a quantitative CEO and a CFO translate really quickly. I think the most challenging part then is instead of calculating risk, sometimes you have to trust your gut a little bit more. And as a CFO, I focus more on how do I calculate this and quantify this? And as a CEO, a lot of it is more, how do I feel about this? And sometimes you just have to make decisions and go.
Yeah, right, Rajeev, you've been nodding along there. You have thoughts?
I think, a lot of our conversations when we are discussing things, whether it's hiring, whether it's letting go of somebody or raising money or strategy, product decisions, I'm like, Christina, you're go with your instincts. You have good instincts, trust, and trust that. And it's okay to go wrong, right? Like it's okay to go wrong. And that's what when I alluded to the fact earlier, one of the most impressive things here is not just the product and the traction in the market, but her own evolution into the role of CEO and being an entrepreneur CEO, and having that sort of CFO conscience in the back. And so, I'd say a lot of her big decisions, even the decision to leave an operating role and becoming an entrepreneur, and she had personal stuff I think you had young twins at the time when you
2-year-old twins. Yeah.
And so these are not calculated, pencil out type of decisions. You have to trust your gut, and you have done it on the biggest decisions in your life. So continue to do that and develop that. Right. So, in a lot of times my job is very easy when the entrepreneur, leans into that and say, how do I sort of balance the intuition with my analytical side?
That's good insight. Now, one of the interesting stories about Cube, I think, is how you acquired customers in the early days. You didn't even have a product when you were selling, right?
Correct.
All right. So tell us about that.
So the story I always tell is when I left my cushy job as the CFO, because I could show up at, well, don't tell this to my old CEO, but I can come in and do the job without really thinking. And I made the leap as an entrepreneur. But when I made the leap, I didn't do it with a team, with a product, with any money, with any funding. It was nothing. So it was day one, open up my laptop and start sweating. Like, what do I do today? And so the first thing I decided to do was take the thesis that I left my job with and founded Cube with, and started talking to people and did research on the side. When I'm not in meetings, what can I learn about starting a company? And I learned that the fastest way to build an MVP is to prototype. And the cheapest way to prototype is just to ask questions. And so I hit the road and just started talking to as many people as possible who would take my meeting. And over time, I started to refine where people got excited about what I was talking about and what they didn't. And I spent 80% of the time listening and 20% talking. Because in the beginning, I really hadn't refined my idea. So I just let them go. What are your biggest problems? What are your challenges? How about this? How about that? And eventually we got to what Cube is today. And the way I started to get my earliest customers was I built effectively a prototype out of, I used InVision and PowerPoint and just a clickable thing to show them what I was thinking. And everyone will be nice to you to your face and say, that sounds awesome. Congratulations. Must be really nice. Congrats on starting the journey. And then I'd ask them if they'd pay me for it. And I got a different answer. And so I kept that process going until I really solved real problems. And not only was someone willing to commit because I had multiple commitments, but someone was willing to sign a contract and put it through legal. That's when you know you have something that people are willing to pay for. And that was the beginning of the journey. What's really important about getting, especially for our type of business, getting early committed customers is that they'll follow through on things like an implementation, on being a good partner with you or a good tester. Because if they just said, sure, I'll try it, you might not see them 2 months down the road when they're busy at work and they haven't put anything in on their side of the commitment. So getting early customers to pay up front was tremendously valuable for both of us.
Now, there's a question in the comments here, and you kind of touched on it there too, but how do you tell the difference when somebody's ready to give you money and the intention to buy?
They sign a contract.
Yeah. How do you get them to sign a contract?
That signature means so much, even now at our later stages. So first you have to get them to, first of all, you have to solve a pain. So just a sales process. You're not pitching, here, look what I have to sell, take this pen. You're saying, tell me about what your challenges are. You'll figure out what challenges this pen solves. Then when you're ready to go through the process, they need help buying. Your buyer may not necessarily have bought software before. Rajeev mentioned earlier, CFOs don't buy, well, now some CFOs do, but FP&A teams don't necessarily buy tons of software all the time. You have to lead them through the process of here's how it works. Let me show you a few different options. And then once they said yes, you have to walk them through and understand what would be the process and what would it look like to actually get this contract signed. Who has to approve it? Does it have to go through legal? Does someone else have to approve it on your side? Get all those qualifications up front. If the customer continues to engage and says, yes, you're almost there, now the last piece is just getting that signature. And once the signature is done, then comes the next part of your journey, but that may be for another part of the conversation.
Okay, so that's how you acquired customers at the beginning. How do you do it now?
So now it's a bit more of a traditional, we're a mid-market commercial model. And that means that we have marketing operation, a VP of marketing that does inbound and outbound. We also have an SVP of sales who has some outbound selling and has a team of outbound marketers. And on the VP of marketing, it's organic and paid. So we have roughly, I want to say 50% coming from marketing and 50% coming from outbound. So that's business development representatives, cold calling, cold emailing potential users.
One more question from the audience here. And what was the pricing of your MVP? And were you looking to cover the costs or just some money, even if it was very small?
So what I did is I looked at what our competitors were pricing at, and I went just slightly under it. Now, in the beginning, was it probably grossly over what the product could do at the time? The short answer is it's exactly what value it would provide to the user. So we threw out a number, and the fact that they said yes meant that that was the right number. And I'll tell you today, it's without revealing the number, it's about our ACVs today. So it was a pretty high number for an MVP, but that's how much pain this customer was in and how much value we could provide at the time. And now, of course, we have a model that's a bit more flexible on pricing. We can go up market, we can go down market, but it's ultimately as high as the customer wants to pay.
Yeah. Now, Rajeev, back to you here. How do you advise startups to acquire customers in the beginning?
So I think, Christina alluded to this. Acquiring customers, starts with truly understanding the pain of the customer, right? That's how you're going to build a foundational product. That's how you're going to sort of really understand. A lot of times people will build a product because they have a hypothesis and they sort of say, well, I'm really smart. This is how I would solve the problem. And it's not a criticism. It's like you're a smart person, right? So you're like, you have some intuition and I think that's a good starting point. It's a good inspiration, but I think you really have to focus on the problem. What is the customer really facing? What is their pain? And sometimes you have to unpack that a little bit because they might say, this is my pain, but their pain is really this, right? It's like they might say ABC, but it's really XYZ. So you have to, Christina said this, right? You have to really, really listen, and you have to listen over and over. And so I think, acquiring customers early on is about really understanding pain, and it's a synthesis of that pain is the product. And so really good selling skills, I think, are really incredibly important in actually building the product. So I'm answering the question a little bit the other way around. You said, how do you acquire customers? You actually build the right product. And if you build the right product, then you can actually go sell it and you can market it more effectively because it bakes in the broader need of your customers. And hopefully that pain is replicable across many, many, many customers. So the trick is, you're not going to go focus on the needs of just one very specific customer, then you'll build custom software or custom solution. So listening to your customer's pain is, I think, the first step to really acquiring customers. And if you do that right, then they will pay you a good amount of money. That means you'll have high gross margins. That means you can invest in product and in more distribution and making them successful, right? Really, really successful. I think you have to overinvest in making customers successful early on. And I think that's really a process of, again, listening and ensuring that the segment that you are selling into, is not churning, right? And it's not because you're not managing them properly or don't have the right processes. A lot of times companies think they don't have the right process. That's why they might have churn. No, it's because your product did not quite have the right sort of, wasn't on the mark. So product market fit is really, the core mechanism by which you acquire early customers. You get that right, then you can keep building the engine and get the engine right. And product market fit to a large degree is never solved. It's never completely over. You keep on, iterating. And when you do hit that product market fit, customer acquisition just becomes magical. And I think founders have to be the chief sales officer of a company and a chief product officer of the company. They have to wear those hats. They have to go in and understand the pain of the buyer, pain of the customer, understand how it's solved and how you sell it. And, Christina talks about that before you start hiring too many people.
Christina, do you still do sales calls?
All the time. In fact, I have one tomorrow morning.
Right. Okay, so with Cube, where are you guys at in 5 years?
We don't just today we focus on FP&A. It's our core buyer. It always will be. I'm a finance person at heart. I love finance. If you could see the back of my laptop, it is FP&A stickers. I love this customer so much. But
that is very nerdy. I'll just say that.
I love it. But I do think that over time, we're going to start seeing planning evolve really more into the other branches of the organization. And it is today in many respects. A budget owner owns the budget. They get to see the numbers. But for Cube to evolve to more than just FP&A, it's a new space that we call XP&A, which is sales planning and analysis, supply chain planning and analysis, marketing planning and analysis. And it really can take so many different forms and functions to ultimately be part of the centralized brain of the organization. Because if you think about it, there's so many source systems out there that own historical data. Who and what products actually own the future of data? Where does your forecast live? What does the future look like? What type of scenarios can you build? What are some of the what ifs? What are the different paths you can go on? That's both for at a corporate level, but also at an individual department level. There are so many places that Cube can go from here, but that's the first place that we're focused on for the next 5 years.
That's great. You guys raised last, I'm looking here at PitchBook in 2022. How much runway do you have left?
Plenty.
Yeah, plenty. Well, that was, you're cutting me off the next question. I'm going to ask you, when are you going to raise more money from Mayfield?
Rajeev and I, we whenever we need to. I mean, the great thing about a plan is you can make it whatever you want it to be. Here's what I advise other founders. You always want to have at least 18 to 24 months of runway. In the environment we walked into when we raised our Series B, I've been telling other founders 24 to 36 months. So we have a number of different methods between the equity we raised and also took on a debt line for a runway extension. So there are many different paths that we can take depending on what our strategy is over the coming 18 to 24 months.
Okay. Now, last question I got to ask Rajeev. What's a good founder fit for Mayfield?
I alluded to this a little bit earlier. I think an entrepreneur who has a vision, mission, purpose, they're doing this because it's not just about the product. It's about ultimately building a company that they believe can be transformative in the space that they occupy. But that company represents, something that's going to transform not just that industry, but the lives of the people that it affects, right? The employees, the customers, and the ecosystem. Right. So the idea is that their sort of non-obvious insight is applicable in a way which solves a really big problem. And if done right, it will stand to create a big company, and that big company has transformative effects, in many, many ways. And the company can become an important part of the community. And I think an entrepreneur that has that type of North Star is the type of entrepreneur we get really excited about working with.
Well, that's a good answer. Okay. Well, both of you, thank you so much for this conversation. It was wonderful. I learned a lot about acquiring customers in your early days, and then how I should buy my kids' cash registers, all that stuff. Okay, so we have one more section of the show where we're going to switch gears here a little bit and go into what we call pitch practice, where we bring on entrepreneurs, and these people just found out that they're going to present and they're going to pitch to us for 2 minutes. And then we're giving them 4 minutes of feedback. The idea here is you have to practice your pitch, from everyone to people at the bar to your kids. So we have 2 top entrepreneurs and founders or investors here. Let's bring on the first company. The first company, we have Kevin Yee. Kevin Yee is from Better Data. Their URL is betterdata.ai. I'm going to drop this into the Hopin chat. And Kevin, how are you?
Good. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to share more about what
Absolutely.
we do today.
Well, you have 2 minutes to present your company, starting now.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah. Good afternoon, Rajeev, Christina, and Matt, and everyone. This session and the sharing so far has been super informative. So thank you for giving me the chance to share more about what we do. So my name is Kevin. I'm the co-founder of Better Data. Better Data is an AI synthetic data platform, and we help enterprises to utilize their customer data in a faster and more privacy compliant manner. So I was at IBM's data and AI team when I first learned how slow it takes to get access to data through my conversations with government agencies as well as different enterprises. It can take 3 to 24 months just to get the data, just to start an AI project, and it's mainly due to strict privacy regulations. And this greatly reduces the speed of innovation and more importantly, the impact that these AI models can have, right, from predictive medicine to fraud detection. So after speaking with hundreds of data teams in startups, hospital research labs, and enterprises like banks, insurance companies, they all face the same problem where data access just takes a really long time. So our synthetic data platform solves this problem by making data sharing faster and safer. So we help enterprises convert their customer data into a fully anonymous synthetic version that looks, feels, and behaves just like the real data. So today we have pilots with tech and finance companies, including a Fortune 200 as well as 2 banks. And we are currently raising our seed round of 2 million with 1.5 million closed. And we're also looking to speak with more data and AI teams in tech and finance and other industries who wants to innovate faster on data by going synthetic. Thank you very much.
Oh, that was very good. Thank you for ending early. Rajeev, can we start with you? Any feedback?
Yeah, Kevin, nice to meet you. So I think real quick, I would say that you focused on sort of your background and finding that getting access to data is difficult, and that slows down innovation. And you've spoken to a number of companies and or potential customers or companies that face this issue. I would like to see just a little bit more on. That's a good overall statement, but what specifically about that problem is unique to what you learned, because that's a somewhat of a generic statement. Every company has difficulty getting access to data, but what's very specific, right? What is the real pain point you have honed in on around which you would create a product? Okay. Number 2, and if you haven't yet figured that out, maybe it should be 1, 2, or 3, right? There's 2 or 3 types of problems that companies face. Number 2, I would say, it'd be helpful to understand who's on your team, on your founding team, and what gives you the advantage as founding team in this particular space. And thirdly, I'd probably like to understand a little bit about what you would accomplish with the money you're raising, right? What milestone or where does this actually get you to? And maybe there can be some conversation on the market opportunity and the market potential. You kind of leave it a little bit open-ended, saying it sounds like a pretty big problem, right? Your statement implies it's a pretty big problem, but I think being a little bit more definitive and crisp around why you think it's a big market opportunity kind of helps tie everything together. So those are the 3 or 4 things I'd say I'd love to see, as opposed to just focusing on the data access is a pretty hard problem.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, thank you so much for your suggestions, Rajeev. I'll definitely include some of these points into future pitches as well.
Great. Christina?
So first of all, congrats on closing 1.5 out of 2. That's the hardest part. So you're well on your way to the end, and maybe after this pitch, you'll have the rest of the 2. Great start off, very clear. Here's who I am, what we do. So good start. I'd echo Rajeev's feedback around being a bit more specific around the problem that you're solving. So looking at what is the problem within the problem set, or what is the beachhead you're going after. You mentioned a few different industries, maybe pick one industry. Like here's who we're targeting first, with the option of going across all industries. Talk a little bit more about market size. What is the market here? Who are you going after? I think adding a few more components to your pitch would help solidify the story of the problem you're solving. And then to go over to the solution, what proprietary or unique insights do you have? And what does your tech have, or how are you doing it differently than others? So maybe understanding a little bit about who's your competition, how are they approaching the problem, and how are you approaching the problem differently?
Okay, I think that feedback was very clear, very helpful, and definitely would talk about some of the ways that we differentiate from competitors in the future as well. And I think also the problem within a problem. This is something that is actually first time I heard about it. So definitely would love to learn more about how you think about this process, maybe after this conversation.
Definitely.
And of
Very
course,
good, Kevin.
we had 2 minutes, so a lot of suggestions. So you have to figure out how to, but 2 minutes, very nicely done for 2 minutes. So appreciate that.
Okay, yeah, thank you so much for giving me the stage and great feedback, Christina, as well as Rajeev. Definitely will implement this in my future pitches. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Kevin. I love that guy. It's fantastic. Okay, let's bring on somebody else. This is Mike. And Mike, I'm not going to try to pronounce your last name or your company name. So you're going to have to do that for me. Are you there? Mike, you can turn on your camera on your mic. Are we there, Julio? Can you? Okay, very nice. We'll go to the next one then. The last one is Zach. Zach is from Zing Data. Oh, Mike is on. All right, perfect. Let's do Mike then. All right, Mike, you there?
I am. Let me just see. I'm seeing a circle going around. There
we can hear you and we can see you.
Nice
Very
to
good.
see everyone. Hi, all.
Hey there.
Hi,
All right.
Christina,
The fun
Rajeev,
time to
everyone.
do things live. Okay, sir, you have 2 minutes to present your company starting now.
Great. Oh, let me find my thing. Good afternoon, everyone. As I said, I'm Mike Kiriakou. I'd like to start with a thought experiment. Imagine for a moment having a secret weapon that gives you an upper hand in the business world. So a weapon that gives you a bird's eye view of your market, but specifically your specific market. A crystal ball that predicts the future, a team of experts that always have your back. Well, this so-called secret weapon was the Copernicus project, which grew out of what I've been teaching at Berkeley, and is now Copernicus, which is the world's first AI-powered business advisor. So with Copernicus, businesses of all sizes have access to customized insights and recommendations that help maximize their success. We're already engaging with 31 fintech platforms, consultants, and banks. We've signed 3 deals, and we look like we're going to close 3 more just this month. The indicators are it's going to be change the game for businesses everywhere. So there's a freemium angle here, but we don't think that's the big picture. We actually provide transparency and objectivity. We actually close the information asymmetry problem, which can allow the global equity markets to finally invest in the world's private companies. And that's the 45% of global GDP that's been out of their reach. For Copernicus, we'd make tens of thousands on one transaction, and there are millions of these transactions alone in the US. So anytime one multiplies tens of thousands by millions, it's a big deal. But for those businesses, they're crystallizing the value from all of those years of hard work. They can pay off their mortgage, they send their kids to college, they retire, they become investors and reinvest in their community. So we believe Copernicus has a massive positive force for uplifting humanity, and we think it's a pretty good side effect for building a world-class venture. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much, Mike. And that's an AI-powered business advisor.
Yes.
Christina, can we start with you with any feedback?
First off, great job starting with yourself as the expert. So saying I taught this at Berkeley, I have some expertise here. It sounds like you have some initial traction, which is great to hear. One thing that was a little challenging for me in the pitch was I didn't fully understand what the product was. I understand it's an AI-powered advisor, but I heard something about global equity into private markets and uplifting humanity. I would just advise, since I went through this myself, sometimes when you talk to investors, you might be a couple steps ahead of them, is when you're pitching, take it down to the micro level of and actually spelling it out. My customer is X, we're doing Y. So after you start with your big question and pitch and saving the world, then go into the very specifics of here's our customer, here's who we serve, here's what they're not getting today. Because the other piece here is what problem are we solving that someone has? It's sort of saying we have a solution, but how do we know that the problem is deep enough that someone will pay for it outside of the traction? But overall, great job for a last minute pitch. Definitely.
That was great.
Thank you, Christina.
Good feedback. Rajeev?
Yeah, Mike, I think I'd echo Christina's sort of feedback. You kind of, you set the stage somewhat a little bit dramatically, which is great, right? Broad statement, very high level vision, but you gotta take it down from the 100,000-foot level down to 10,000 foot very quickly, and talk very specifically about because again, AI powered business advisor. I'm thinking, okay, it's Chat GPT. That Chat GPT does that. Everybody claims that, right? So what specifically is it? So get narrowed down pretty quickly.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Because look, you also said, right, like something about 30 customers you've talked to, you have 3 who are signed up, global bank. You talked about there's some traction here, but then the gap between the traction and this big high level statement is sort of saying, wait a second, what exactly are you doing? For whom? When? Why? How? Right? So I would bolt it down a little bit more, and because you obviously come from a place of credibility. And my concern is that if you're too high level and you make a couple of these statements, that credibility can disappear very quickly, because somebody can say, well, what exactly, so what, right? And I would offer up very, Christina used the phrase problem within the problem. Get it very specific, maybe pick one customer. What is the product? What's the technology advantage? And who's on the team, right? I think it's very important for people to hear who is on your team, and what you alluded to, why you have an advantage. You've been teaching this, you've been working on this, but bolt it down a little bit more. And you didn't say what your ask is, right? You're raising X, and where would that get you to?
Yeah, I didn't know that was part of the scope, but I have
right.
to edit a lot.
No
but totally, yep, I agree.
If talking to investors, always ask them, right? Like, this is what I want from you, and this is what I'm going to get with it. So,
all right, well, that was great. Good feedback.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, I love the name Copernicus. So
thank you very much.
Yeah,
very good. Best of luck to you, Mike.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matthew.
Okay, well, we have one more. We have Zach. Zach is coming from Zing Data. Zach, I can see you here in the Zoom window. You ready to go?
Yep.
All right, sir. You have 2 minutes starting now.
Great. Hi, my name's Zach. I'm co-founder and CEO of Zing Data, and we're the first platform for mobile-first business intelligence. What that means is you can actually query any major data set, from a Google Sheet all the way up to Trino or BigQuery, in seconds on your phone. You can collaborate with your colleagues by using @mentions to tag them on action items, and you can set up real-time push notifications and alerts. For instance, when inventory runs out on a fast-selling product, or when sales hits a new high. With shared questions and collaboration, it's not just you creating a dashboard. It's actually your whole team coming along and being part of solving the problem. We're already partners with Google, Databricks, Starburst, Trino, and we have customers including 7-Eleven, the largest genetic testing company for dogs, steel manufacturers, and companies in trucking, logistics, and retail. In fact, we've got users now in more than 54 countries. I ship Facebook's first work in speech recognition and mobile ads, and know what it's like to build experiences that feel native to mobile. My co-founder, who I met at MIT 10 years ago in grad school, co-founded and sold 2 startups since we first met. The opportunity is huge. There's more than 25 times the number of people who use workplace collaboration tools like Slack and Teams than use BI today. And in fact, the average American now spends 4.2 hours a day on their phone. It's actually 4.8 hours a day in Japan. And a lot of workers, especially outside of technology, don't primarily do their work at a desk. They're in the field, they're in the factory, and they're the folks who are fixing your utility lines or stocking a retail store that you go to. We are making data accessible to those folks. We've already raised $2.5 million from Kindred and Correlation, and we're excited to partner with folks who are looking to expand data to their workforce in the field. Thanks.
Very good, Zach. That was nice. All right, Rajeev, let's start with you.
Great. So nice to meet you, Zach. I think, I like the fact that you lead a little bit with traction because, and sort of customers because you have them. So that's good. You're playing to your strengths. But again, I go back to, right, like what's specific, maybe pick one or two real problems that you guys are really addressing. Because let's face it, right, like getting access to analytics and data on mobile is not a new concept. It's something, lots of people try, and I could ask you a litany of questions saying, well, what about this? What about that? So what is it specifically that you're doing that is different? Is it that you're making your analytics available in every single app that's out there? Or are you becoming more of a app type of company that if somebody's building a field service software or somebody's building sales software, you can be consumed? Or are you building an app for those particular use cases or verticals? Are you a tool? Are you a technology? Are you an app? And then we start with platform. So a little bit more clarity on specifically what it is that you do that takes you away from not just being generic, right? Because the good and the bad of your market opportunity is it's pretty broad. So, it's much to be desired if you don't get a little more specific and then going to go back broad. The second thing I would say is, the second thing I'd like to understand is, tied to that is specifically how this would translate to a big market, right? So not that it's not applicable very broadly, but our business model is we charge XYZ, and this is what people pay, and there's this many endpoints or this many users or whatever. I can give you a TAM. Once you actually have users and you actually have data, you have to be then able to back up and say, well, this is kind of what my business model looks like, and therefore it translates into TAM. You're out of the non-revenue bucket. Now you're in that traction bucket. So you have to be able to speak to how this might actually pencil out as an opportunity. And then I'd say, what's your ask? You raised money already. What are you looking to do next? And what would you accomplish with it? Since I'm assuming this is an investor pitch, but again, I've been told that sometimes that's not part of the pitch process. So
this is a little bit more of a partnerships and user adoption pitch than an investor pitch, because we're not.
Fair enough. Then what would then maybe it's like why are you pitching us and how we would work together? So you alluded to that you're working with Google and others. So always, right, like I always say, what's the pitch and ask? But otherwise, great. Thank you so much.
That was good. All right, Christina, you got 1 minute left.
Okay, I'll go fast. First off, congratulations. Sounds like lots of traction, $2+ million fundraise. You've got tons of credibility. You have a team, you have a co-founder. So lots to love about the story as part of your pitch and putting that up front. So that was really great. I would say, given the 45 seconds I have left, the part that I would focus on within the pitch is who is your customer? So you talked about mobile first BI, but for who? There were a lot of different examples. So honing in on who is the user would be really helpful to then dig into what does the competition look like? What's the market size? What's the business model? It'll help sort of tie the rest of that story together by focusing in on that.
Great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that was good. All right, Zach. Well, thanks so much for participating, and make sure you apply again. And everyone that participated, you can apply again. We'll have you back and see how the pitch evolved.
Thank you.
Very good. Yeah, and Christina, Rajeev, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you guys have had a great time, and we'll see you all next time.
Thanks for having us.
All right.